Next, from Springfield, State Treasurer Mike Frerichs and U.S. Secretary of Labor Thomas Perez hold a press conference discussing the state's new Secure Choice 401k retirement program for Illinois workers. This runs about 15 minutes.
Well, thank you, Secretary Perez. Thank you for your leadership on this very important issue. I want to thank John Rogers for hosting us here today and for your leadership on financial literacy issues that are going to make a big difference for a long time. I know firsthand the challenges facing seniors. I've traveled up and down the state, met with them in Springfield, down in Alton, and here in Chicago. And what they are experiencing are some real problems with retirement security, and also at a time when the state, I think, is making very short-sighted decisions on cutting their benefits. Half of working Americans are not saving adequately for retirement. And of those who do not save, 84% work for an employer that does not offer a work-based retirement option. Lack of retirement savings equals reliance on Social Security or a retirement in poverty, creating significant future burdens on state and federal social safety nets. Now, this looming crisis has manifested itself in many ways. Median savings for workers not offered a plan through their employers is $0. Let me repeat that. Workers who don't have a plan in their place, the median savings is $0 saved for retirement. About a third of Americans are going to rely on Social Security for about 90% of their retirement income. That is not a path that people actively choose. It's not a retirement with dignity. It is not an opportunity to enjoy your golden years. In Illinois, we have a program that looks to make retirement more secure. Illinois Secure Choice. It's going to be offered through employers that have 25 or more employees that have been doing business in the state of Illinois for 2 years or longer, and who have chosen not to offer a work-based retirement solution. Now, before we can move forward on this, we needed help from the Department of Labor, and they provided us with a path. For months, I've worked closely, as has my team, with Secretary Perez and his team at the Department of Labor to ensure that its proposed guidance will enable Illinois Secure Choice the opportunity to move forward. And we just left a discussion with these federal officials and stakeholders who helped to secure passage of Illinois Secure Choice. Let me just outline a few things. The rule will permit key features of Secure Choice, which are fundamental to ensuring that the program is easy and affordable to employers and to employees, including automatic enrollment of employees with an opt-out for those employees, a default investment option, required participation of certain employers, and an ERISA carve-out for state-run plans. This announcement will provide a path forward for Illinois to move forward to help our state's workers save for their own retirement. Secure Choice, by estimates, will affect about 1.2 million workers in Illinois, giving them a secure retirement and a chance to retire with dignity. There is urgency to find solutions to the nation's retirement crisis. It's not just a problem in Illinois. It's a problem from coast to coast. And from coast to coast, people are looking at solutions, whether it be in California under the leadership of State Treasurer John Chung, whether it be in Maryland, Kathleen Kennedy Townsend and her efforts on behalf of retirement security. We know that there is a real problem. We're proud to say that Illinois Secure Choice offers part of a solution. Now, in addition to our federal partners, I also want to thank State Senator Daniel Biss. Senator Biss recognized this crisis, produced legislation, and worked tirelessly to make sure that it became law.
I'm John Rogers, Chairman and CEO of Ariel Investments, and I'm here to welcome everybody here. We're really privileged to have the Secretary of Labor here with us, as well as many other leaders that you'll have a chance to hear from today. I'm here representing my role as former chairman of President Obama's first Council on Financial Capability and Financial Capability for Young Americans, all about financial literacy. Worked hard with President Obama's administration to make sure that financial literacy is something that is embedded in public education here in our city and around the country. And it's fascinating that Chicago has been the model city for financial literacy. We have so many great things happening here in Chicago, and of course extraordinary things happening in the state that you'll be hearing more about today. I've had a chance over these last several years to get to know Secretary Tom Perez. He's an absolutely extraordinary leader. He's someone who has amazing vision. He has that amazing ability to get things done and make a difference. You know, so many times people in public life, as you know, talk a good game, talk about making a difference, but Secretary Perez is one that actually brings about change, and that'll be talked about again today. The Secretary has this unbelievable passion for helping others, helping those that come from disadvantaged communities, those that face all the challenges that we face in modern life today. And so he's just been someone that I've had this just amazing experience and opportunity to get to know, and again to see his passion up close and personal. And as I get to know others in Washington who talk about his unique leadership in the cabinet, he's one of the consciences of the cabinet to make sure that the passion for helping others is consistently executed throughout our country and throughout our government. So it's my honor today to introduce Secretary Tom Perez.
Thank you, John. I really appreciate it. John, thank you, and thanks for your leadership. The reason Chicago is so ahead of the curve on financial literacy is plain and simply because of you. Thank you for your leadership, your mentorship, and your friendship. I'm thrilled to be joined by the State Treasurer here today. I'm thrilled to be joined by my colleague, Phil Sporzy, who is our Assistant Secretary for Employee Benefits Security Administration. And thank you, Dory, for your leadership at the Woodstock Institute. It is great. And thank you for coming to D.C. A couple months ago. I've come to Chicago for this announcement because of the forward-leading leadership of Secretary Frerichs and the senator in the back, and so many other advocates from Illinois. And I want to also applaud the leadership of folks in California and Oregon, two other states that have passed forward-leaning laws very, very similar to what you're doing here. You know, there are 5 basic pillars of middle-class life in America: a good job that pays a fair wage, housing security, health care that's affordable, accessible, and there when you need it, educational opportunity from cradle through career, and last but certainly not least, retirement security. And we're here today to discuss retirement security, and we're here today because, quite frankly, there is a looming retirement crisis in America. The pillar of middle-class retirement security is crumbling for millions of Americans. It's really something of a perfect storm, and it's one that we're simply not prepared for. At just the moment when the tsunami of baby boomer retirements has begun, at just the moment when people are thankfully living longer than ever, retirement savings has become less predictable and more complex than ever. I see retirement security as a 3-legged stool. The first leg is Social Security, and this president has taken a backseat to no one when it comes to strengthening this 80-year-old covenant with the American people. We need Congress as well to step to the plate, but in the meantime, President Obama is doing all he can to ensure that Social Security is there for our grandchildren in the way that it was for our grandparents. The second leg of this stool is personal savings, and part of that is obviously ensuring that people are making enough money in their jobs to provide for their families today and put money aside for the retirement they hope to enjoy tomorrow. And our domestic agenda of making sure that we address wage inequality and we lift people up and employ people, and the 68 consecutive months in a row of private sector job growth to the tune of over 13.5 million jobs are signs of an economy that is indeed moving in the right direction so that people can indeed enjoy retirement security. But undeniably, there's still more work. And the third and the final leg of this stool is the one we're really here to strengthen today, which is encouraging and incentivizing employment-based savings, either through an employer or through another medium like a state program. Chances are in the Ozzie and Harriet world in which so many of us grew up, we recall those days where you worked 30, 35 years for the same company. At the end of that tenure, you had a party, and a pension. And that pension was a defined benefit pension that you carried for life. And when you passed away, if you had signed up smartly, your spouse would be the recipient of a survivor benefit. Now, in today's modern family universe, we live in the defined contribution world, a marketplace dominated by 401k and IRAs, which are more market sensitive, require consumers to make critical decisions about how to invest their hard-earned savings, and which not all employers offer to begin with. And so fewer and fewer families are financially ready for retirement. And in fact, roughly 68 million workers have no access whatsoever to an employer-sponsored retirement plan. They're anxious, and for very good reason. Surveys show that by wide margins, people are more afraid of running out of money in their golden years than they are of their own death. You know how they say getting older beats the alternative? Well, by pretty wide margins, Americans are saying that that's not necessarily the case. Not if you can't pay the rent, afford your prescription drugs, or even put a meal on the table. And so President Obama is deeply committed to doing everything we can to help retirees and future retirees navigate this storm. He's taken steps, as I mentioned earlier, to strengthen Social Security so that it is indeed there for our grandchildren. At the Labor Department, we're working on the 2 Ps, protecting savings, protecting savers, I should say, and promoting access to savings. We have a proposed regulation that we issued earlier this year to protect people from conflicted financial advice. The simple idea behind that proposal is that your financial advisor must honor the same obligation as your lawyer or your doctor, which is to put your best interest first. This regulation is one of the most important steps that the administration can take to protect savers, which is why President Obama himself announced the proposal at the AARP earlier this year. But we also have to help the more than 68 million Americans that I mentioned a few moments ago who lack access to an employer-sponsored plan to begin with, so that they can grow that nest egg in the first place, making savings as easy and as accessible as possible. That's why in every budget he has proposed, the President has included a provision that would automatically enroll workers in an IRA if their employer doesn't offer a retirement plan. But that idea has been rejected by Congress every time. That's the bad news. The good news is that many states are stepping in to fill this leadership void. And I applaud again Illinois and your remarkable treasurer when he was senator with many other senators and other leaders, as well as folks in California and Oregon who have proved once again that states are great laboratories of public policy innovation, moving ahead with strong proposals of their own. The challenge is making sure that these plans aren't preempted by or run afoul of the federal law governing most retirement plans, which is ERISA, the Employee Retirement Income Security Act of 1974. Many states, including Illinois, have sought guidance from us on this question of whether ERISA preempts the efforts that have been undertaken here in Illinois and elsewhere. And this summer, the President directed the Labor Department to help to carve out a pathway forward. And so today I'm proud to announce the release of a new proposed rule that would create a safe harbor from ERISA for state-sponsored IRAs, provided that they meet certain conditions. For instance, giving workers the chance to opt out. So in other words, if you have auto-enrollment, which is a key feature of the Illinois plan, a worker would have an opportunity to opt out should he or she choose to do so. The proposal is on our website and will soon be published in the Federal Register, giving members of the public the opportunity to review and offer comments during the 60 days comment period. It's important to say and note that the safe harbor is not an airtight guarantee. The federal courts are the ultimate arbiter on the question of whether state retirement plans are legal or not. But our proposal would provide states with a roadmap for minimizing the risk of a lawsuit. We can never eliminate litigation risk, but we believe that we can substantially mitigate litigation risk with this regulatory proposal. Our objective with this proposal is not to tell states what to do or how to do it. Rather, we want to give them the freedom and flexibility to develop the retirement plan that suits them best. Oregon and California have joined Illinois in adopting auto IRA plans. And why is auto IRA so promising? Well, that's because a recent study showed that workers are 15 times more likely to start saving for retirement if they are nudged into a workplace vehicle through auto enrollment. And that is why this program is so promising that you are leading here in Illinois. Washington State has established a small business retirement marketplace, and a new Massachusetts law provides for a state-sponsored plan for nonprofits employing 20 or fewer people. For states that pursue or choose to pursue a state-run 401k plan operating under ERISA rules. Today, the Labor Department is also releasing, in addition to this proposed rule, an interpretive bulletin to help guide their efforts. Again, as I said earlier, we are not putting our thumb on the scale of what you should do. We are giving you the menu of options and helping you make those choices and letting you make those choices. For too long, states have held back from designing and implementing good ideas in this space because of the specter of ERISA preemption. Our goal today is to eliminate that deterrent and to unleash the innovation and creativity that exists in this state and in so many states. States belong in the policymaking vanguard, especially on an issue as important as retirement security. Today's proposal would help put them there. We have a lot of work to do to address the nation's savings gap and retirement crisis. Today's announcement represents a critically important step in the right direction. And I'll tell you from my travels and talking to retirees, I am convinced that the cost of doing nothing to promote retirement security is nothing less than the erosion of the middle class. Time is of the essence, and the stakes are indeed high. Fortunately, President Obama continues to be relentless in using every tool in our federal policymaking and rulemaking arsenal. And in this room today, as well as in many states across the country, there are so many champions for change.